All right, so today we're going deep on a topic that I think a lot of people are talking about.
Yeah.
It's modern dating,
hmm
and specifically, we're going to be looking at this YouTube video
Yeah.
that has a very provocative title, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
It's called "Il faut détruire l'ego de la femme pretentieuse," red pill,
Okay.
which translates to "You must destroy the ego of the pretentious woman."
Wow.
So this is from a channel called Pas votre frère,
hmm
which means not your brother.
Okay.
And it's basically offering advice from one
Yes.
man to another
Right.
on how to interact with this specific type of woman.
Interesting.
And, right off the bat,
Yeah.
you see the word destroy, you see ego.
Right.
This is,
Strong words.
yeah.
Definitely eye-catching.
So we're going to break it down
Okay.
and see what we can learn from it.
Yeah, sounds good.
One of the interesting things I thought right away
hmm
was that this video has really resonated with a lot of guys.
It has, yeah. It's gotten a lot of views.
For sure.
So there's something about this message that's hitting a nerve.
Right. It's speaking to something that's going on.
So that's what we want to kind of unpack here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So first of all, who is this pretentious woman?
Right. Who are we talking about here?
Well, based on what he says in the video,
Okay.
she's someone with like an overinflated ego.
Okay.
She thinks she's better than other people.
Mm.
She's very materialistic,
Tiffany.
values appearances and possessions.
Okay.
And she's very influenced by social media,
Of course. Got to be social media.
especially Instagram.
Right, right.
So he's sort of connecting those things to this idea of pretension.
Yeah, he seems to be suggesting that this constant exposure
Mm?
to perfectly curated images
Right.
and lifestyles
Yeah.
is fueling this
Yeah.
sense of superiority and a
Yeah.
need for validation.
Yeah, he actually says,
Mm-hmm.
today's women are queens because of Instagram. That's a pretty big statement.
That is a sweeping generalization.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that really true for all women?
And that's something we see throughout the video.
Yeah.
He uses a lot of these phrases like
Like what?
all women know
Uh-huh.
or women today.
Yeah.
Like it's just a blanket statement.
Right. Painting with a broad brush.
So it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
is he speaking from his own personal experience?
Mm-hmm.
Or is he
Or,
trying to define an entire generation of women?
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's something important to keep in mind as we go through his advice.
Yeah.
Is this coming from a place of
Yeah.
genuine insight?
Mm.
Or is it more about
Yeah.
his own frustrations?
Right. And I think, to be fair,
Yeah.
he does seem to be drawing from,
Yeah.
his own experiences,
Personal experience.
which could be insightful,
Of course.
but also maybe
Mhm.
kind of limited.
Yeah. Limited perspective.
Yeah.
Just one perspective
Mm.
among many, not necessarily representative of all men.
Exactly.
Okay.
With that in mind,
Mm-hmm.
let's get into the actual advice.
Right. Let's hear it.
The 10 tips that he offers
Yay.
for how to interact with this pretentious woman.
All right. Tip number 1.
Okay, tip number 1 is never compliment her looks.
Oh, wow.
He says if you do that,
Yeah.
she'll think she's better than you.
Interesting.
So what do you make of that?
I mean, is he suggesting that
Yeah.
compliments are all about power dynamics?
Like,
Like acknowledging someone's attractiveness
yeah.
automatically puts them
Yeah.
in a position of superiority.
Right. Or is it more about,
Or maybe he's trying to distinguish between genuine appreciation and just superficial flattery.
yeah. And then he goes on to say that
Okay.
if you must compliment her,
Mm-hmm.
you should focus on her
That's cool.
character.
Okay.
Like, I like how you think.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
he's saying a woman's value lies in her personality and not her appearance.
Okay, so on the surface, that sounds fair enough.
Right.
But is it really that simple?
I don't know.
It makes you think about
Right.
what we truly value
Mm.
in a potential partner, and also whether withholding compliments
Right.
on someone's appearance
Mhm.
is really a path
Yeah.
to genuine connection.
Yeah, it's like he's almost encouraging this.
It's like emotional detachment
yeah.
right from the start.
Okay.
Okay.
So tip number 2,
What's next?
he says, never be clear about your intentions.
Playing it cool.
So basically,
Yeah.
don't ask her out directly.
Mm-hmm.
Don't talk about being exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Little vague.
Be mysterious.
Mysterious. All right.
So this is the classic play hard to get.
Play hard to get. Yeah.
And he even uses the word commit,
Oh, really?
like in English.
Interesting.
Don't commit.
Wow.
So it's like,
Commitment is a bad word.
yeah, commitment is
It's
something to avoid.
It makes you wonder what kind of relationship he's ultimately advocating for here.
Yeah.
Is it one built on
Yeah.
genuine connection and trust?
Or is it more about this?
Or power dynamic and manipulation?
Right, exactly.
Oh, okay.
So then tip number 3 kind of builds on that.
Okay.
He says,
Yeah.
never seek validation
Oh, interesting.
from a pretentious woman.
Okay.
So don't fish for compliments. Don't,
Yeah.
call her to say you had a good time.
Don't need her approval.
Don't show any signs of needing her approval.
Got it. Okay.
And his reasoning is that,
Why?
well, he's saying
Yeah.
these women are already swimming in attention.
Swimming in attention.
They're getting validation from everywhere.
Okay.
So if you act indifferent, you'll stand out.
Stand out. Okay.
He actually says, make sure you're dressed well so people look at you too.
It's like he's encouraging
Yeah.
a competition for attention.
It's all about this
Almost like who's getting more.
external validation.
Yeah.
Right?
It's fascinating how much emphasis he puts
yeah.
on external validation.
Yeah.
It's as if a person's worth
Yeah.
and the success of the interaction
Right.
is solely measured by how much attention they're getting.
It definitely feeds into that
It's
sense of insecurity
Yeah.
that he's projecting on to
Yeah.
both men and women.
Right. Everybody's insecure.
It's like everyone is.
It's like a battle for.
They're battling for the upper hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tip number 4 is where things get
Mm-hmm.
a little more audacious.
Audacious. All
It
right.
says, don't be afraid to look at other women when you're with her.
Wow. Okay.
Now, he's careful to say
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't, obviously stare,
Right.
but a casual glance.
It's a casual glance. Okay.
If, an attractive woman walks by, that's supposed to shake her confidence.
Shake her confidence. Interesting.
The logic being
Mm-hmm.
that it shows her you're not completely captivated,
So you're not totally focused on her.
which will then make her
Got it.
try harder
Okay.
to get your attention.
So again,
So again,
it's a game.
it's this game.
It's all a game.
He even
What
said
does he say?
it shows her you're not lost in your head, trying to
Mhm.
convince her to be with you.
Wow, that's an interesting way to put it.
So it's like,
Because it brings up the question of,
Yeah.
is any effort to connect
right,
or express interest somehow a weakness?
right,
It's like he's equating
yeah,
aloofness and detachment with strength and desirability.
right. Interesting.
It's a lot to unpack there.
It is, yeah.
We're only 4 tips in,
4 tips in.
and we're already seeing a pretty clear pattern.
A pattern is emerging.
Yeah. It's like he's created this rule book
A rule book
for Battlefield.
on our
But
relationship.
you're not a relationship. That's a good point.
Right.
But-
So before we go on to the other
Yeah.
6,
6 tips?
I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
What are your initial reactions?
Yeah, what are people thinking out there?
Does any of this resonate with you?
Does this make sense?
Or do you find it...
Or is it just totally off-putting?
Right.
Remember, this is just one perspective, one man's opinion.
Right.
What's important is that you form your own conclusions.
Yeah.
So what do you think about all of this?
Yeah. Let us know.
We want to hear from you.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's definitely a lot to process, you know?
Yeah.
And
It feels like he's approaching dating like it's a strategy game.
a strategy game, yeah. Like he's trying to outsmart the other person,
Yeah.
but shouldn't it be more about
Well,
genuine connection?
building something meaningful.
Yeah, exactly. So
Tips.
tip number 5
All right. Tip number 5.
is always show her that the competition isn't over.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he actually suggests
What does he say?
being extra friendly with other women, even flirty,
Flirty. Oh, my God.
in front of her.
In front of her.
He
Oh,
calls it giving them a lot of grease.
a lot of grease.
I don't know what that means.
What does that even mean?
But I think he's basically saying,
Yeah.
lay it on thick.
Lay on the charm. Okay.
The idea
I
being
see, yeah.
that you want to make her feel like
Mhm.
she needs to constantly prove herself to you.
Oh, so she's always
Yeah.
on edge.
That she's not the only one vying for your attention.
Got it. Yeah.
So again, it goes back
That's
to
a
that
good dynamic.
power dynamic,
Well-
always keeping her
Yeah. You got to
to her toes.
keep her on her toes, never let her feel
Never too comfortable.
secure.
Right, yeah.
But wouldn't that create
It seems like that would
Yeah.
create some anxiety.
a lot of anxiety
Mm-hmm.
and mistrust?
Mistrust, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So tip number 6 is related to that.
Okay.
It's never show jealousy.
Never show jealousy, all right?
So that
What
means
does that look like?
no questioning her about other guys.
Okay. Yeah.
No
Yeah.
getting upset if she's talking to someone else.
Don't react.
Just
Yeah, play it cool.
play it cool.
Okay.
Like you're completely unfazed.
Yeah, be cool.
And his reasoning is that, why? Well, he says,
Mm.
jealousy makes you look insecure.
Insecure. Okay.
It's a big turnoff.
Big turnoff. Got it.
So instead,
Mm.
you should project this aura
An aura
of confidence.
of confidence. Yeah.
Like you're the prize.
You're the prize. Okay.
To be won.
To be one. Interesting.
He even uses this term, subhuman,
Sue's home.
which means subman,
Oh.
to describe men who show jealousy.
So like
Less than a man.
yeah, it's a pretty
Right.
harsh judgment. That's pretty harsh.
And it really plays into
Ah.
a lot of these traditional ideas about masculinity.
Right, what it means to be a real man.
Right.
Right, interesting.
So it's like he's saying that any kind of
Mm-hmm.
emotional vulnerability
Emotional vulnerability,
is
sure.
the weakness.
This bad.
Something to avoid.
Don't be vulnerable.
Right.
Okay.
Tip number 7 gets a little
Mm-hmm.
more physical.
Physical, okay.
He says, don't be too available for sex.
Wow, okay.
So it's like he's saying intimacy is a bargaining chip,
A bargaining chip.
something to withhold and use strategically.
Strategically.
He even uses this phrase,
Mm.
take you for granted, implying that
Implying
if
that.
you're too available,
Yeah.
she'll lose interest.
She'll lose interest. Okay. So this raises some questions about
It counts.
how we view intimacy
Yeah.
in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a reward for good behavior? A way to maintain control?
Or should it be an expression of like genuine connection and desire?
Right.
It's like he's promoting this very
It seems like a transactional view of intimacy.
transactional.
Right.
Yeah, it feels a little dehumanizing, to be honest.
It does. It does. It
Yeah.
reduces a very complex and intimate aspect of human connection to this simple equation of power and control.
Right.
Interesting.
Okay, so tip number 8
Okay, what's next?
kind of shifts gears a bit.
All right.
But he says,
Yeah.
always put your life goals above this woman.
Above this woman. Okay.
So the idea here is that a man should never let a woman, especially this type of woman, distract him from his ambitions.
From his ambitions. Okay.
He claims that prioritizing a woman
Over your goals.
over your goals
Yeah.
is a recipe for disaster.
A recipe for disaster. Okay.
He even suggests that women, today's women,
There it is again.
won't do the same for you.
Oh.
He uses this example of like a woman
Yeah.
choosing a trip to Dubai
Dubai. Okay.
over a man, implying that,
That women are just
women are more focused on their own desires
selfish.
and less likely to make sacrifices for a relationship.
Got it.
Which, again,
Another generalization.
yeah, it's a huge generalization.
Painting all women with the same brush.
Yeah, and it reinforces these really outdated stereotypes.
Outdated about men and women's roles.
Right.
In relationships.
It's like he's completely ignoring the possibility that a woman might value a meaningful relationship
Right.
over like a superficial experience.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it just perpetuates this idea that men and women are fundamentally different with opposing priorities, values.
Okay. So tip number 9 is maybe the most shocking,
Shocking, okay.
just in terms of how bluntly he says it.
What does he say?
He says, never reveal that your goal is to be intimate with her.
Wow, okay.
And he
And he
says
says why?
that all women know
All women know.
that men are primarily after sex.
Mm-hmm.
So by being upfront about it,
Mm-hmm.
you're giving her power over you.
Power over you.
He calls it her diamond,
Her diamond.
her bargaining chip
Her bargaining chip. Oh my gosh.
that she can use against you.
That's some language.
Yeah,
Right.
it's pretty jarring.
Jarring to reduce human relationships to this basic animalistic level.
Yeah, and again, it plays into that idea that
It's that same theme of men and women are in this
battle
constant
for control.
Yeah.
And that honesty and vulnerability
Right.
are weaknesses. He even goes so far as to say that if you try to initiate intimacy
Yeah.
and she says no, just let it go.
Just let it go.
Don't try again.
Don't try again. Okay.
Which, I mean,
That's
a pretty dangerous
pretty
message, especially in today's world where consent and respect are so important.
Yeah, very important.
It's like
he's not acknowledging that at all.
Completely ignoring the importance of communication and emotional connection.
It's like he's encouraging men to see women
as adversaries, not potential partners.
Right, not someone you want to connect with.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, we're down to the last tip.
Last tip, bring it home.
And it's less of a concrete piece of advice and more of a
philosophy.
Yeah, philosophy.
All right.
He says,
it's a philosophy.
Never argue with a pretentious woman.
Never argue. Okay.
And his reasoning is that arguing gives her
what?
Too much attention.
Attention, okay.
And power.
And power, yeah.
So instead, if she starts a conflict,
he
says, tell her to go home.
Go home, wow.
And call you when she's feeling better.
Call me when you're feeling better. Oh my gosh.
So basically, he's saying any disagreement, any conflict is a sign of weakness. Or drama.
Okay.
And that the best course of action.
The best thing to do.
Is to just.
Shut it down.
Completely.
Yeah. Walk away.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is incredibly dismissive. And it really plays into.
It does.
And that stereotype.
That women are overly emotional.
And prone to drama. Which is not
true.
But also pretty harmful.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like.
It's all rooted in this fear.
Fear and mistrust, this belief
that men and women are just at odds with each other.
Yeah, always battling against each other.
And it makes you wonder what kind of relationship.
What kind of relationship do you even build on that?
Can you build?
Right.
If that's the foundation.
That's the foundation.
So we've heard the 10 tips. What stands out to you? Are there any that you find particularly insightful? Or maybe particularly concerning?
Right.
What are your thoughts on his overall approach to dating?
Yeah. Let us know.
We're curious to hear what you think.
I mean, it's a pretty wild approach, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, dating is this battlefield. And you're trying to, like, outsmart the other person.
Outsmart them, yeah.
But I think a lot of guys...
I think so, too. Are relating to this message.
Yeah.
So what is it about modern dating that's causing this frustration and disillusionment, especially for young men?
Well, you got to think about social media.
Right.
I mean, it's completely changed the game.
Yeah.
It's created this culture of comparison where everyone's presenting this perfect version of themselves.
Curated.
Yeah, curated.
Yeah, best moments, their achievements.
And it's easy to feel inadequate when you're constantly seeing these images of people living these seemingly perfect lives.
And he kept talking about material success, saying things like, dress well, spend money, show her you have something to offer.
Right. So he's equating material wealth with attractiveness and worthiness.
And that plays into a lot of the pressures that men face.
Societal pressures?
Yeah.
To be financially successful, to have a certain status, to be the provider.
And when you combine that with...
And then you add in social media and these images of perfect relationships.
It's a recipe for...
Yeah, it's going to
create insecurity.
Anxiety.
Yeah, so then you're always comparing yourself to other guys.
Yeah.
Wondering if you
measure up.
Yeah. And that's where these
and that's where
manipulative tactics come in.
Yeah, these tactics. Right. That seem to offer control.
Yeah. If you're feeling insecure.
If you're insecure.
It could be tempting to.
You want to control the situation.
Control it.
Play games.
Right.
Manipulate. Right. Try to make the other person feel a certain way.
It's like he's saying the only way to win at dating.
The only way to win
is to be emotionally detached.
Detached.
Avoid vulnerability. Always be in control.
Always be in control.
But the irony is that those tactics...
They often backfire.
Usually backfire.
Right. They might give you a temporary sense of power.
Right.
But they prevent you.
They prevent you from forming genuine connection.
Real connection.
It's like... He's so focused on not getting hurt, that he's missing the whole point.
The whole point of dating, which is to
find someone you connect with.
To connect with.
On a deeper level.
On a deeper level.
He said something at the end that really stuck with me.
Okay.
He said, out of 10 women,
only one
truly wants you for who you are.
Wow.
That's a pretty cynical view.
That is cynical.
Of relationships.
It is, yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, and it makes you think about
right.
his own experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and the lens through which he's viewing the world.
Right.
It's just one man's perspective.
Right.
Formed by his own unique life experiences.
And it's also suggesting that there's this inherent conflict between men and women.
Right.
This battle.
Battle of the sex.
Of the sexes.
Yeah.
Where somebody always has to...
Someone has to win.
Win.
Yeah, what if we challenged that?
Right.
What if we approached dating from a place of... collaboration.
Right.
Mutual respect.
Instead of competition.
Competition.
And control.
Yeah, I think that's
really
worth thinking about.
Yeah. It brings us back to the bigger picture.
To the bigger picture.
What are we really...
What are we?
Looking for.
Looking for.
In a relationship, yeah.
Is it about power and control and validation?
Or is it about something...
Or is it...
Deeper.
Deeper.
More meaningful.
More meaningful, yeah.
And how do we navigate...
Right, and how do we
navigate all of this?
Of modern dating.
This modern dating world.
In a way that feels authentic and fulfilling.
Yeah.
Without
resorting to.
Yeah, resorting to manipulation.
Manipulate.
Yeah.
Or game playing.
Right, those are questions.
Those are big questions.
Worth pondering.
Yeah. A lot to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
This deep dive
This has been...
given us a lot to think about.
A lot to think about.
It's exposed some of the anxieties that men are facing.
Right.
In today's dating world.
Yeah.
And it's challenged us to think critically about the advice we're consuming.
Right.
The messages we're internalizing.
We've explored some pretty controversial territory.
Controversial? Yeah.
But hopefully it's sparked some conversation.
Yeah.
And encouraged you. To
think about
different perspectives.
So,
as
always,
we encourage you to think for yourself, question the status quo, and approach dating. With a healthy dose of skepticism. And a whole lot of heart. Thanks for joining us.
On this deep dive.